All right, man, let's be real. You're getting out there. You're going on dates, putting in the effort, and meeting women who seem to have real potential. You connect with someone, and it feels good. It feels promising. And then, a few weeks, maybe even a few months in, it happens. A switch flips. Time and time again, you find yourself pulling away, getting the ick over something tiny, or doing something to torpedo the whole thing, and you have no idea why. You start to wonder, is it me? Is it my looks? Am I not tall enough? Not in good enough shape? You scroll through your photos, second-guess what you wore, and replay every conversation, only to land on the same conclusion, that you're somehow not good enough on the outside. I'm here to tell you, with total certainty, it's not about your appearance. It's not about the symmetry of your face or the number on a scale. The reason you might be pushing good partners away is deeper, more subtle, and it has everything to do with subconscious patterns that you probably don't even know are running the show. These are the hidden barriers to love, the invisible scripts handed to you long before you ever went on a first date. Today, we are dragging those patterns into the light. We're going to uncover what they are, why your brain uses them to protect you from the very thing you want most, and what you can actually do about them. Because the love you want isn't running from you. You've just been unintentionally standing in its way. And now, you can learn how to step aside. The ick as a subconscious escape hatch. Let's start with one of the most confusing things in modern dating. The ick. One minute you're picturing a future with her, and the next the way she chews her food or a certain phrase she uses sends a wave of disgust through you. It feels so real, so instinctual, that you trust it completely. You think, this is my gut telling me she's not the one. But what if I told you that most of the time, the ick isn't your intuition? What if it's actually a panic button? The ick is that sudden, baffling cringe you feel toward a partner. It can be triggered by the smallest things. The way she runs for a bus, a pair of shoes she wears, her cheesy dancing at a wedding. Intellectually, you know it's ridiculous. But emotionally, it feels like a deal breaker. It feels like a real sign of incompatibility. And it gives you a bulletproof get-out-of-jail-free card. You can tell your friends, I just got the ick, and they'll nod. No questions asked. It's a clean break. But then it happens with the next woman, and the one after that. And you're left in a graveyard of promising connections, all killed by the ick. Now let's be clear. Sometimes that feeling of repulsion is a genuine red flag. If someone violates your boundaries or is cruel, that's your intuition screaming at you. But the classic ick is different. It shows up precisely when things are starting to get real. It's a defense mechanism, born from a fear of intimacy. As a connection deepens, the stakes get higher, and so does the potential for being hurt or rejected. For a subconscious mind that learned somewhere along the way that intimacy is unsafe, this is a 5-alarm fire. It screams, danger, getting too close, eject. But your conscious mind wants love, so the subconscious has to get creative. It can't just say, let's run away because we're terrified. Instead, it finds a legitimate reason to leave. It latches onto any imperfection and blows it up to monstrous proportions. That weird laugh isn't just a quirk. It's now proof you could never build a life with this person. The ick is your subconscious masterfully creating an escape hatch so you can flee the vulnerability of a real connection without facing the real fear underneath. It's self-sabotage disguised as discernment. So how do you disarm it? You have to stop taking the ick at face value. Become a curious observer of your own reactions. The next time you feel that wave of repulsion, just pause. Don't judge yourself for it. Instead, ask a different question. Don't ask, what's wrong with her? Ask, what was happening right before I felt this? Were you just talking about meeting her family? Were you realizing how much you genuinely like her? Did she just show you a moment of vulnerability that made you feel exposed? Often you'll find the ick was triggered by a moment of increasing intimacy. The solution isn't to ignore the feeling, but to sit with the discomfort. Acknowledge it. Okay, I'm feeling the ick. My brain is telling me to bolt. Then gently challenge it. Is this a real red flag about her character, or is this about her imperfect, harmless humanity? Learn to tell the difference between character flaws and human quirks. Someone being rude to a waiter is a character flaw. Someone wearing socks with sandals is a quirk. Your subconscious wants you to treat them as the same thing. Your job is to learn the difference. Emotional dumping versus healthy vulnerability. One of the biggest paradoxes in dating is that you might be pushing women away by doing the very thing you think brings you closer, being vulnerable. But there's a world of difference between healthy paced vulnerability and what I call emotional dumping. And it's one of the most common ways guys sabotage a new relationship without even knowing it. Here's the scene. You're on a second or third date, and you decide it's time to be real. You lay it all out. You share the deep wounds from your childhood, the story of your worst betrayal, your deepest insecurities. In your mind, you're being open and authentic. You're fast-tracking the connection, thinking, if she can't handle me at my worst, she doesn't deserve me at my best. But the other person doesn't see it as brave vulnerability. She experiences it as an emotional flood. Suddenly she feels like she's been hired as your therapist or savior, not a potential partner. She's now responsible for your emotional baggage before she even knows your favorite movie. It's too much, too soon. It creates immediate pressure and imbalance. So she pulls away, often feeling overwhelmed without knowing why. And you're left confused, thinking, I was just being honest. I guess she couldn't handle it. Emotional dumping isn't really about connection. It's a behavior often rooted in an anxious attachment style. It's a subconscious test. The unspoken question is, here's all my pain. Will you stay? Can you fix me? If you can hold all of this now, it means you'll never leave. It's a desperate plea for reassurance dressed up as authenticity. This pattern often comes from a past where you had to be in crisis to get care or attention. You learned that love is given only when you're highly distressed. So, in a new relationship, you unconsciously recreate that dynamic. You're not sharing to connect, you're sharing to see if she'll rescue you. This puts an impossible burden on a new partner and skips the entire stage of building trust. True intimacy is built over time, brick by brick. Emotional dumping is like trying to drop a fully built house on a foundation that hasn't been poured yet. It's bound to collapse. The antidote is practicing paced vulnerability. Think of your life as a house with many rooms. On a first date, you invite someone into the entryway. You let them get a feel for the place. You don't take them straight to the attic where you keep your most painful memories. Healthy vulnerability matches the level of trust that's been earned. It's reciprocal. You share a little, she shares a little. You reveal a small insecurity and see how she responds. Does she show empathy? Great. That's a green light to maybe, down the road, share something deeper. This is a core part of emotional intelligence in dating, communicating authentically without overwhelming the connection. Before you share something heavy, ask yourself, what is my intention? Is it to build a mutual connection? Or is it to get a reaction, test her, or solicit caretaking? If it's the latter, that's a sign to pause. That's your own work to do, not your new partner's job to heal. True vulnerability invites someone in. Emotional dumping forces them to hold you up. Learn to invite, not to force. The myth of the mind reader. This next one is subtle, but it's responsible for so much resentment in relationships. It's the subconscious belief that if someone truly cares about you, they should just know what you need. They should be able to read your mind. Imagine you've had a long, stressful day. You come home hoping for some quiet, supportive space. Your partner, totally oblivious, excitedly starts talking about her day or suggests a loud activity. Inside, you're fuming. You think, can't she see I'm exhausted? If she really loved me, she'd just know. But you don't say anything. Instead, you give short, clipped answers. You get passive-aggressive. You sigh heavily. You're sending all these covert signals, hoping she'll decode your needs. When she inevitably fails, your anger hardens into proof. See, she doesn't really get me. She's selfish. You've just created a story where she failed a test she didn't even know she was taking. This creates a cycle of unspoken expectations, guaranteed disappointment and resentment that slowly poisons the connection. Your partner just feels like she's constantly walking on eggshells, unable to do anything right. This belief that love equals mind reading is almost always learned from our childhood. If you grew up in a home where it felt unsafe or shameful to express your needs directly, you learned indirect ways to get them met. Maybe you had to be visibly upset to get a parent's attention. You learned that asking for what you want is a burden. As an adult, that translates into a fear of direct communication. Asking for what you need feels incredibly vulnerable. What if you ask and she says no? That rejection would feel catastrophic, confirming your deepest fear that your needs are too much. So instead of risking it, you set up the mind-reading test. It feels safer. If she passes, you feel loved. If she fails, you can blame her for being insensitive instead of confronting your own fear of asking. It's a protective strategy, but it makes true partnership impossible. A partnership requires communication, not psychic abilities. You have to dismantle the myth. The single most transformative skill you can develop is the ability to clearly and kindly state your needs. This is an act of profound kindness to both yourself and your partner. You're giving her a roadmap to love you better. You are setting her up for success, not failure. Start small. Use a simple, non-accusatory formula. I feel X when Y happens, and I would love Z. Instead of silent fuming, try, I'm feeling really drained from work. What I would love is if we could just have a quiet, relaxing evening tonight. Notice there's no blame. It's not, you're so insensitive for not noticing. It's a clean statement of your feelings and a clear, actionable request. This is how adults in healthy relationships communicate. You have to trade the fantasy of a mind-reading soulmate for the reality of a loving, communicative partner. Your needs aren't the burden. Your refusal to state them is. Give someone the chance to show up for you by actually telling them how. The relentless fault-finding mission. You've made it past the initial dates. You're navigating vulnerability. You're starting to get comfortable, and the connection is getting stronger. And that's exactly when the next form of self-sabotage kicks in. The fault-finding mission. Your brain turns into a private investigator whose only job is to build a case against your partner. You start to notice and get intensely bothered by every single one of her flaws. This isn't playful teasing. It's a critical, judgmental monologue running in your head. The way she holds her fork is so clumsy. The way she tells a story goes on forever. Her career isn't that ambitious. Her friends are kind of annoying. Every small imperfection becomes another exhibit in the file you are building titled, Reasons This Will Never Work. You're not looking for things to love. You're actively scanning for reasons to disqualify her. This critical lens makes it impossible to enjoy the good moments because you're always on alert, always judging. Eventually, you convince yourself the cons list is just too long. You end it, feeling logically justified but also empty because you've successfully assassinated another potential relationship. This fault-finding is a classic defense mechanism of an avoidant attachment style. It's a deactivating strategy meant to create emotional distance when intimacy feels threatening. The subconscious logic is brutal. If I find enough things wrong with her, I can justify leaving. And if I'm the one who leaves, I can't be abandoned. The breakup won't hurt as much because I'll know it was the right decision based on all this evidence. It is a preemptive strike against future pain. By focusing on her flaws, you protect yourself from feeling the full weight of your affection for her. It's a way of keeping one foot out the door. If you nitpick her habits, you don't have to confront the terrifying reality that you might be falling for a wonderful, imperfect human, and that you could get hurt. The criticism isn't really about her. It's about your terror of being vulnerable. The antidote is a conscious practice of gratitude and acceptance. You have to actively retrain your brain to look for the good. Start a private journal. Every day, write down 3 things you genuinely appreciate about your partner. It could be as small as in the way she made me coffee, or as big as in the way she listened to my story without judgment. This practice literally rewires your brain, weakening the critical habit and strengthening the appreciative one. Next, embrace the concept of good enough. The goal isn't a perfect partner. They don't exist. The goal is to find someone whose flaws you can peacefully live with. You need to distinguish between deal breakers, like a lack of integrity or kindness, and mere imperfections. Research from places like Yale University shows that couples with realistic expectations and a growth mindset are far more successful long-term. They embrace discovering each other's flaws and strengths with an open heart. Instead of asking, Is this person perfect? Ask, is this person kind? Do we share core values? Is she emotionally available and respectful? When your brain serves up a criticism like, I hate that she's so messy, you can counter it with, yes, and she is also incredibly compassionate and makes me feel safe. It's about holding both the flaws and the virtues at the same time, and choosing to focus on what truly matters. Emotional intelligence, the ultimate antidote. So we've talked about the ick, emotional dumping, mind reading, and fault finding. These are all just different branches of the same tree. The root of that tree is a lack of what psychologists call emotional intelligence, or EQ. Developing your EQ is the single most important thing you can do to change your love life forever. Looks fade, but EQ is what builds a love that lasts. Simply put, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and manage your own emotions, and to recognize and understand the emotions of others. It's not about suppressing your feelings. It's the opposite. It's having the awareness to know why you feel what you feel, and the skill to deal with it constructively. Each self-sabotaging behavior we've discussed is a symptom of an EQ failure. Getting the ick is a failure to recognize that repulsion is masking a fear of intimacy. Emotional dumping is a failure to regulate your anxiety and share in a paced, healthy way. Expecting a mind reader is a failure to use your social skills to communicate your needs. The fault-finding mission is a failure to see that you're projecting your own fears onto your partner. The great news is that, unlike IQ, your emotional intelligence is a skill. It can be learned and developed. Research consistently shows that individuals with higher EQ are far more likely to build healthy, lasting relationships. So how do you build it? First, practice self-awareness. That's what we're doing right now. Get curious about your patterns. Journaling is a powerful tool. When you have a strong emotional reaction in dating, write it down. What did you feel? What happened right before? What story did you tell yourself about it? This creates a vital space between feeling and action. Second, work on self-regulation. This is about managing those emotional reactions instead of letting them take the wheel. When you feel a surge of anxiety or anger, learn to just pause. Take a few deep breaths. This simple act can calm your nervous system and stop you from sending that reactive text or starting that pointless fight. Third, build empathy. This is the ability to see things from your partner's perspective, even when you don't agree. Instead of assuming the worst, get curious. Instead of saying, "You're ignoring me," try, "I noticed you've been quiet, and the story I'm telling myself is that you're upset with me. Is that what's going on?" This invites dialogue instead of conflict. Developing your EQ is the work. It is the path from unconsciously repeating the past to consciously creating your future. It's what allows you to build a connection that can withstand challenges and deepen over time. This work isn't easy. It takes courage to look at these parts of ourselves. But the fact that you've watched this far tells me you have that courage. You're ready for something different. So I want you to do two things. First, head to the comments and share which of these patterns resonated with you the most. Was it the ick, the fault finding? When you share, you make it less shameful. And you'll be amazed at how many other incredible guys are going through the exact same thing. You are not alone in this. Second, if you're serious about breaking this cycle and you want the tools to build your emotional intelligence, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. This is the work we do here together. For years, you may have told yourself a story that you're single because of some external flaw, that you're not attractive enough, successful enough, or witty enough. That story has kept you stuck, focusing on all the wrong things. The truth is, the call has been coming from inside the house all along. The barriers to love haven't been outside of you, but within you. They are the subconscious defense mechanisms and outdated coping strategies you built to protect yourself from a hurt that happened long ago. And please hear this. These patterns are not your fault. Don't judge yourself for having them. They are the armor you built to survive, and it did its job. But now, that armor is too heavy, and it's keeping you from the very love you want. Today, you've started to see that armor for what it is. This awareness is the first and most critical step. You can't change what you can't see. Now you see it. You can see how you might be pushing love away to stay safe. You can start to question your reactions, communicate your needs, and choose gratitude over criticism. You can begin the work of building your emotional intelligence, the foundation upon which all healthy, lasting love is built. The love you want is not running from you. It's waiting for you. It's waiting for you to feel safe enough in yourself to finally let it in, and you can get there. The journey starts now.